Okay, welcome parents to our virtual principal. Welcome back. We are so happy that you can join us. For those of you joining us live, we look forward to this next hour with you. We are recording this presentation for those who can't be with us, and so we'll be sharing this out. Just so you know, before we start introductions, our format for tonight, we do have a planned presentation of some important information we believe will be helpful to you as parents and guardians. And then we did solicit questions ahead of time from parents and guardians that we plan to address in this presentation. If time allows, we will address questions that come up, and we also will try to answer questions in the chat YouTube box. So feel free to use that function, and you may get answers right away, or we may have time at the end to address those. So that is our format. We're going to get started with introductions, and so I will begin that process. I'm Michelle Bertola, the principal at our Oak Plain campus. Thank you so much for being here again. I've been at Warren 21 years, and I've taught both at the Almond and Oak Plain campus. I was a social studies teacher before moving into my role, first as assistant principal and going on to my third year here as principal. I've been involved in a variety of coaching, girls basketball in particular, over my years of teaching. So I look forward to our time tonight. Thank you so much for being here, and I will pass on to our Almond principal, Mr. Parrott.
Thank you, Mrs. Bertola. Welcome to our parents that are joining in tonight. I am Rob Parrott. I'm the principal at our Almond campus. This is my 27th year at Warren High School and my fourth as the principal at the Almond campus. I started my career here back in 1994, and I started as a special education teacher. I have a son who graduated from Warren in 2015 and a daughter who graduated in 2018. And I also have the great experience still of being a parent of two students, one who is a freshman at our Oak Plain campus, and I have a junior daughter who is attending our Almond campus. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Maurer.
Hello, my name is Chuck Maurer. I'm the associate principal at the Oak Plain campus. I'm also a veteran at Warren, spent my entire career here at Warren. I'm in my 29th year right now. I started as a math teacher. Taught both at the Oak Plain and Almond campus. I also did some coaching at both places and moved into administration as a curriculum leader in the math and business departments for a few years, and then into positions as the assistant and now associate principal at the Oak Plain campus. And I'm going to hand it off to my counterpart at the Almond campus, Dr. Kirk, who is going to do her introduction and talk a little bit about the work that we both do together to service Warren Township High School.
Hi, my name is Laura Kirk, the Associate Principal for Student Services at the Almond campus. I've been at Warren for 11 years. The first two, I was a dean at the Oak Plain campus and then moved over to Almond, and then the last 4 as the Associate Principal. Chuck and I both oversee buildings and operations as well as student services. The Student Services Department is made up of our deans, the guidance counselors, the social workers, and the psychologists.
Hello, my name is Peter Kupfer. I'm the assistant principal for instructional services at the Oak Plain campus. I taught physics for about 13 years at a couple different high schools in the area. I was a curriculum director for science and math out in the western suburbs for 3 years, and now this is my 3rd year at Warren. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Matt Jones.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Jones. I'm the assistant principal for instructional services at the Almond campus. I've been involved with Warren since about 2004. I came in here as a young student teacher. I taught Spanish. I've been a lead teacher. This is my 3rd year in the role of assistant principal for instructional services. Peter and I both oversee the technology department along with our PLTs, lead teachers, and everything curriculum and instruction. What we're going to do now is you're going to hear from Mr. Parrott with some introductions.
So just a reminder to our parents that typically at this time of the year, we host a fall open house where our families and parents, our guardians can come in and walk the students' bell schedule. And because of our current circumstances, we're unable to do that. So we've set up what we're kind of referring to as a virtual open house. So just a reminder for our parents that are joining us this evening that we did send communication back on September 8th, and it's also on our website that includes information on how to access welcome back videos that our teachers made, and also provides course and contact information for the courses that your son or daughter may be enrolled in. We always recommend communicating directly with our teachers throughout the year. That would be your first step. And if you have any questions or concerns about your son or daughter's performance in a class, or any communication that needs to be done regarding their performance in class. So we always recommend to start there. And then if there's questions beyond that, we are also a good resource for you to reach out to. So just putting this presentation together, we were thinking about what the last 6 months have been like. And we thought a good starting point would be just to acknowledge for all of us, for our parents, obviously for our students and staff, that we know the last 6 months or so have been filled with a lot of ups and downs. We thought that living with the theme park right here in our community, this was kind of the perfect image to capture how many of us are probably feeling. There's a lot of moments that we really don't know what's ahead of us, much like on a roller coaster, but we know that we're going to stay on and enjoy the ride. We also acknowledge that this is a work in process, and that we're all kind of learning as we go. I've often referred to this process as building an airplane in flight, and we will continue to adjust and make improvements as we work through this process together. We also strongly believe that we are better together in a world that seems to want to divide us. We know that that is not what makes us better. So please know that in our partnership with you as parents, with our message to our staff and to our students, we always believe and promote that our school and community is one that is inclusive of diverse thoughts and beliefs, which are supportive of each other. And we are constantly working on providing an environment that is equitable for all of our students. So the agenda or goals for this evening, we're going to present a lot of information, hopefully helpful information to our parents this evening, but obviously just tonight we wanted to introduce who we were as your building leaders for the school year. Welcome back our parents to the start of the 2021 school year. Although this is a bit unique, we are excited to start another school year. Just a reminder about our virtual open house videos. So a few of the agenda items we've already kind of gotten through. We would also like to establish expectations for students during remote learning, review the social emotional learning and additional instructional time that is built into our schedule, provide resources to our parents during remote learning, and have an opportunity to answer questions that have already come into us and possibly answer some questions that may come to us tonight. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Maurer and to Dr. Kirk, who are going to talk a little bit more specifically about expectations of the social emotional learning supports in our schedule.
First thing we wanted to look at is our student schedules. As you'll see, we are dividing our days into blue and gold, as well as a late start day. Our blue days are Mondays and Thursdays. Our gold days are Tuesdays and Fridays, and our late start days are on Wednesdays. We did have a change to our late start schedule that will begin this Wednesday. We did add a 5-minute passing period or break in between each of the classes to kind of make it easier for students to transition from one class period to the next class period. If we do not have school on a Monday due to a holiday or institute day, we do not have a late start day then. We'll only have blue and gold days, with blue days being Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Wednesdays and Fridays being gold days. You can find these schedules on our website under the academics tab, and then choosing our district e-learning site. Finally, you'll notice on the schedule that there's an additional 35 minutes at the end of the day on Blue and Gold days. Those are for additional instructional supports and SEL supports, or social emotional learning supports, that we'll talk about in just a moment. So some of the things that students can do to help support themselves in a virtual setting: create a workspace for themselves, somewhere where they're comfortable, where supplies are close at hand, and where they can have minimal distractions. Another thing that they can do is establish a routine, and this includes: when are you going to sleep, when are you getting up, and particularly when are you doing homework. We do have some students who have surprisingly put off homework, thinking, oh, well, I'll get to that later, I'll get to that later. And that can lead to some overwhelmingness, where all of a sudden they have a number of assignments they have to complete, and then they feel that anxiety and, am I going to get this done? So if they have a set homework time per day, that can kind of help with that anxiety. In addition, we do send out a lot of announcements or information to students through their student email, so they should be checking their Warren email daily. One of the things we say to our students when they are in person is be an active learner, or own your own learning. And what this means is that they should attend class every day. Even though we're in this virtual setting, it is still important that students do follow their teacher each day that there is class. They should actively participate during that class, as well as outside of class. Some of our teachers assign activities that will then support the next class period's discussion. So they should finish those things in a timely manner so that they can participate during their in-person class times. They need to be a self-advocate. If they need support from their teacher, if they're having trouble understanding instructions and or the homework, make sure they're reaching out to their teacher for support. They can also talk to student services. They can find student service contact information on our website under the Student Services tab. That's also a place where, if they want to see their dean, counselor, or social worker, they can sign up for a time to see those people as well. We also encourage our students to be digitally responsible. Basically, we're encouraging them to turn on their camera. It's one way that teachers are able to get visual feedback from the students on if they're understanding things, if they're following along with the lesson. And there are some particularly important times where teachers may direct the students to turn on their camera, particularly if they're doing discussions, either in small groups or in the larger group setting, so that we can see each other to help facilitate those discussions. We also want to be respectful of ourselves and of others while we are online. And also, if students do have some technological issues, they should get help for that as soon as possible. If they go to the front page of our website, on the right-hand side, there is a help desk ticket that they can click on to get help with technology. You can also find that same link under academics and district e-learning. All right, the social emotional learning time, that extra 35 minutes on our Blue and Gold days, this can be used in a number of ways. Teachers may use this time to meet either individually with students who they feel are either struggling or just need a little extra attention. It could be a time for teachers to meet with small groups. If there's a group activity that needs to be done, this might be a time where the teachers kind of check in with the groups. If that is what teachers are going to use, they will communicate with the students about that. Also, our student services personnel, our deans, guidance counselors, and social workers, as well as our psychs, might use that time to meet with some students. On certain days, a student may have class for the full day, and the only free time they have during the day is that SEL time. So our student services teams might use that so that they can meet with students in a timely fashion. Another example of things that could occur during that time are IEP meetings or 504 meetings. And students, again, can request to meet with teachers and or student services members during this time. So some supports that you can offer your student if they are kind of struggling or feeling overwhelmed: empathize with your child, validate their feelings. This is a very stressful time for everyone, and it's okay to feel that stress and figure out ways to manage that stress. One of the things that I talked about before was establishing that routine and creating a schedule. Sometimes creating that schedule and working time management skills into a conversation with others is a little bit helpful. And so your student may turn to you and ask, how am I going to get all this done? And how is this work going to get accomplished? Help them create a schedule so that they can follow through on the things that they need to do without getting overwhelmed or anxious. And then make sure they practice self-care. Take movement breaks. Get away from the screen for a while if they have a break, or during that 5-minute kind of passing period or transition between courses. I know my son, he ends up moving from his bedroom workspace to the family room in the middle of the day, because it just helps him kind of recenter himself and realize, wait, I'm still in school. I still need to do something academically. And that kind of reset by just finding a second space is helpful to him. Some additional resources that you can use. Our Student Services tab, which can be found on our website, is really helpful. There you can get to our social workers page. They have a number of resources on there for both parents and students. Our psychologist page has some helpful hints. Our deans are on that page as well. This is where your student can make appointments to see any one of those people. It's just a really good resource to visit whenever you have time. Warren Township Youth Services also has some free mental health services for both students and adults that can be taken advantage of. And the United Way of Lake County also supplies assistance in finding food, shelter, rent, or any utility assistance you may have. And now we're going to turn it over to Peter Kupfer, who will talk more about some academic supports that we have.
Thanks, Laura. So there's many academic and instructional supports available to us on our website that students or parents might find helpful. First is just the information located on our district website. The district website, if you've not been there, is d121.org. Across the top, there are multiple tabs that will take you to different areas in the district, whether it be academics, if you're looking for information about activities or athletics to join, or as Laura mentioned, the Student Services tab across the top are good places to check. Under the academics tab, as you can see on the screen, there is our district e-learning plan. If you have questions about what are the rules and protocols of our remote learning plan, that's a great place to start. And as things change and evolve over the course of this adventure, those new information will be posted there. Another thing to know about the website is this is where you're the best place to find the contact information for the staff in the district. And so in the middle of the page, in the link banner on the far right, there's a button that will take you to the staff directory, where if you're trying to locate a staff member's phone number or email address, you can just type their name in and we'll show up. If you're not sure who you're trying to call, again, going through those various tabs on top of the screen, going through the different departments will help you find either the guidance counselor or the principal or the social worker or whoever you're looking for. They're all listed there by department to find out who you want to talk to. Another piece of information you should know is that Power School is our student information system that we use in the district for student records. And so we also have motion sensing lights in the district that turn on and off when you're in a room by yourself for a while. Hi. And so Power School is our student information system. And this is a place you probably have made an account here in order to register for the school year. If you've not, you can contact the office and they can help you set that up. Power School is the place you would go if you want to check for your student schedule, student grades, attendance, if you need to pay fees or any other information about your student, this should be the place to check. And now I'll turn it over to Matt, and he is in a well-lit room and he will walk you through the rest of our student resources.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it. As Peter mentioned, we take energy saving seriously. So what we're going to talk about now is a little bit about Canvas. Canvas is kind of our one-stop shop for academics for our students. Canvas is where teachers are going to post all the information for their classes, including assignments, lectures, videos, supplementary materials. Everything is linked in Canvas. So if you as a parent are wondering what's going on in your students' classes, you could sign up for an observer account. On the main webpage, again, d121.org, you could jump on that page, and in the middle of the page, click on the Canvas icon. It's this the little red and white kind of flower thing. Nobody really knows what it is. But if you click on that, you can sign up for a Canvas observer account to be able to see your students' courses, the coursework, their assignments, their grades. Everything is in there in Canvas. Also on there, you can, that's where the students log on every day to do their attendance currently. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is how to get technology support. Dr. Kirk alluded to this. We have a student tech support link on our website. It looks like the blue box here on the screen. If you need help with any kind of technology for your student, or your student needs help with any technology, we encourage them to click on that link and submit a form to us. Once they submit that form, our technology department will respond to that ticket via email or phone, depending on what your preference is, and then help you to resolve whatever the issue is. This could be something like, my computer is not turning on, my power cord needs repair, I can't get on Canvas, my Google's not working, any of those things. That is really a technology ticket for anything a student might need. This is also what a student would click on if their Chromebook completely breaks and need a new one. So what we'll do for that, if a student has a broken Chromebook, we understand the importance of having that device. So we'll have you come to the school right away and swap it out with a loaner while we repair your device. Again, during that time, you'll have a loaner device. You won't have to miss any instruction. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is the materials request form. Every once in a while, a student's schedule may change, or a book may have been back ordered, or a teacher requests students pick up a certain packet or a material for the class. So what we have on the website, again, a materials request form. Students click on this link here, and they'll answer a few questions about what they need, and then our technicians will assemble whatever's needed for that student and place it by the front entrance. We're also doing some deliveries for students who are unable to come to the school to get their materials. We really want all students to have all the materials they need to be successful this school year. So please use that form if your student is missing any materials for their courses. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Bertola, who's going to discuss what's to come.
Okay, if we were in person, we would take a pause to check in with everyone, but we're going to keep going. We know we're sharing a lot of information. One of the most common questions we get from students and parents and staff is, when can we get back to the building? And we want to make it clear to everyone that our ultimate goal is to work to bring students and staff back into the building. We do have to do this safely and within the health guidelines of ISB, Lake County Health Department, and the Illinois Department of Public Health. And so we do need to stay within those guidelines, which makes it a complex process. But we want to update you that this week, our school board will be meeting to review our situation and our plans, and we'll make a decision, we hope, within the next week or two on what's to come after October 2nd. Once we have that information, we will share it with students and parents and provide any amount of detail needed regardless of what that decision is. If and when we hope to be back, we do want to at least make it clear, and we will go into much more detail when the time comes, but we do want to make it clear to all parents and students that when we come back, it will absolutely look different. And these are just some of the enhanced health and safety protocols that we are actually, for those staff that are in the building each day, we've already transitioned to, but it's definitely new when we have students in the building. So for example, we are conducting symptom screenings and temperature checks. So individuals self-certify when they come into the building and have their temperature checked. That would continue. We use appropriate PPE equipment, personal protective equipment, including face coverings worn at all times in our building. We have to limit the groups of people inside, no more than 50 in one space. We are requiring social distancing to be observed as much as possible, and we've increased our school-wide cleaning and disinfecting. Another consideration, which is a big challenge for us, if you've been following our school board meetings, we continue to push ourselves on the single symptom presumed positivity, and also the process that we have to follow in vacating spaces in these instances. So this continues to be something we have to work through to be able to bring students and staff into the building. And so we will continue to work on that. But just so you know, these are some of the changes of what will be in place when we are able to bring students and staff back. Regardless of what our instructional platform is, we thought it was really important that we highlight this excerpt here on the screen is actually part of our return to school plan. And the reason we bring it up is we do think this is sort of central and keeping our eye on the ball on what we really feel is important. And we think it's important to highlight to you as parents that regardless of what instructional platform we're in, we are very committed to our mission statement, which is in the first line there, maximizing the growth and achievement of every student through rigor, support, and innovation. We definitely believe this in this challenging time that, as Rob and others have mentioned throughout, we are in this together. We are very committed to the things we believe we need to keep our eye on the ball in regards to high academic standards, building positive relationships, creating engaging learning experiences for our students, supporting social and emotional needs, and really embracing the responsibility and accountability we have to our community. And we absolutely believe that we will continue to learn and grow, and we will emerge stronger after this pandemic. So we thought it was important to highlight that this is our belief and what drives us every day. In addition, another common talking point with staff, students, and you as parents is the fact that this is hard work. This is the first time, we've all mentioned how many years we've been in education, and it really doesn't matter. We are all first-year educators. This is the first time our students are starting the year, as you as parents starting a school year in this setting. And so it's really important that through our leadership, we remind all of our stakeholders that we've got this and that we're in this together. We believe in our students, staff, and community, that this is going to be hard, but we're going to continue to communicate and be transparent and continue to work, and we can do hard things. And so we want you all to know that this is our communication that we will continue to have, and this is what we believe. And as mentioned, we're willing to continue our collaboration, reflection, and adapt as needed as we learn in this environment. So we do have some questions that rolled in ahead of time. Thank you for all those who submitted questions. Usually when people submit questions, we know that probably more than one person had them. So we're going to do our best right now to jump around and answer some of the questions that came in. And then with whatever time remaining, we'll see any that are coming in on the YouTube chat. So I think I'm going to take the first one. It really has to do with what I've already mentioned in regards to the number one question we get is, when will we be back? When will we be allowed to be back in the building? And again, just to reiterate that answer, our Board of Education is meeting this week to review our options, and we hope within the next week or two that we have direction and a decision made on that, which again will be communicated to all of our students, staff, and parents. We have continually been working, and we will continue to do this. We're working on plans even to bring small groups of students into the building. We will continue to do that, as well as continue to work on bringing as many students as we can safely do so. I think I'm going to let Matt, Mr. Jones, take the next question.
Yep, I'm on the next question. Thank you. The next question was kind of, why are teachers using entire class time and not allowing time for homework? I know with the block schedule, it's tempting to think that students would have extra time, but we have to try to remember that what teachers are doing is they're seeing students less times. So minute per minute, it's very similar to a typical work week. So just like when the students are in school, there's always an expectation that there'll be some work to be done outside of class time. We're really encouraging students to use that blue and gold time in the morning from 7:30 to 8:10 at Almond and 8:30 to 9:10 at Eau Plaine, just to use that time to get some homework done in the morning, maybe while they're having a good breakfast, work on a little bit of that classwork. And then also we have built-in time in the afternoons. At Almond, it's 1:40 to 2:15. In Eau Plaine, it's 2:40 to 3:15. Again, that's time to get help. That's time when teachers are available too. That's what we're really recommending students take some time to use that time to get started on their homework. It's a great time to realize you have a problem. If you start your homework around that time and you realize that you need some help, the teachers are available during that time. Also on late start days, we start 2 hours late in the morning. Teachers are in meetings during that time, but it's a great chance for students to get a jump start on their homework.
Mr. Jones, one thing I just thought of that I wanted to add, I'm just going to jump in here. One other thing in our schedule is students, we do have a half-hour lunch built in every day. Correct. On top of a lunch that is in students' schedule. So students have a lunch 3 through 6, period 3 through 6 typically, and they also have a built-in half hour. So on the days that they have their regular lunch schedule, periods 3, 4, 5, or 6, they have an additional 70 minutes then on top of the half an hour lunch. So just as a parent to keep in mind that on those days that they have their lunch scheduled is another great time to do homework.
Thanks, Michelle, for reminding me about that. Okay, so the next question is about assessment. I believe is that, yes, next one's about assessment. So why do students take tests outside of their scheduled class time? The reason some of our teachers are choosing to do that is because then they can take advantage of the instructional time to help students, work with students, and prepare students for those assessments. Remote testing gives them a little bit more flexibility. Some of our teachers, when they're in regular class sessions here in the building, sometimes have to spend multiple days to do all the assessment portions. With this setup, we thought it'd be more important for the teachers to have time with their students, allowing them some flexibility when and where they take the test, but also allowing them to spend the class period building instruction and getting students ready to take that exam. The next question we have is about the late start days, correct? Yes. So the next one is about the late start days. This was feedback we heard loud and clear. I had a few parents call me about it. I've talked to a few students via email about it. So this was something that we heard loud and clear from the community and from our teachers too. It was the same on both ends. It was hard rushing between classes, going back to back to back to back, especially on the short schedule. It felt pretty fast and pretty hurried for a lot of our students. So coming up here in the future, we're going to be moving over to the 5 minutes in between classes, starting the next late start. So that'll be coming up very quickly here. I'm going to pass it over now.
Yeah, I'm taking this question. So the question is, provide more support for students that need support with Canvas and Google Docs, specifically freshmen. And so one thing I want to really make sure parents are aware of, freshman parents, we are doing something this year called Link Crew. And so we're actually dedicating time to meet with freshmen. In addition, we do have resources that are permanently available as part of our orientation. And this was orientation for all students, not just freshmen, but obviously we know freshmen coming in might come from different backgrounds. Some of our feeders use iPads as opposed to Chromebooks. So we understand it's new. But also there was a lot of new for all students, even seniors this year. So just a reminder, parents, there is a Canvas orientation course that was shared with all students, freshmen through seniors. And in that course, there are resources, videos, summary sheets that give guidance on all of our most used technology. So we want to make sure you know that. And then the second piece, like I had already mentioned, freshman parents, we have every 2 to 3 weeks, we have what we're calling Link Crew meetings. These typically take place during that SEL time that Dr. Kirk had mentioned, that afternoon time at Oak Plain between 2:40 and 3:15, although it could be anywhere in that afternoon time frame. And what we do during that time is we have sophomore and senior leaders in addition to a staff leader that check in and meet with our freshmen. The goal is just primarily to answer questions, provide support, and really help freshmen in their transition to high school. So this would be a perfect time, that guidance or modeling of how to use Canvas or Google Docs could be shown. We've incorporated some of that into those meetings. We could really use your help, freshman parents, to remind students to check their Warren email. That is how our Link Crew meeting links are being shared. And students need to get in that habit of checking their Warren email so that they don't miss out on these opportunities. So a great way to help our freshmen transition. So please remind your freshmen to check their email and join our Link Crew meeting. The next question is for Mr. Kupfer, I believe.
Yeah, so that we've gotten some questions about Power School and grades and how frequently those happen. And so we have a couple broad answers. The follow-up answer to most of these is if you're ever confused or wondering about grade statuses, the fastest way to get an answer is to have the student email the teacher directly and just kind of ask, in a polite way, what's going on. But here's kind of the overriding principles. Minimally, every teacher should have one grade in the grade book per week to help students kind of get a sense of where they are along the course of the semester. We pull grades for eligibility once a week for athletics and for activities. And so teachers are expected to have everything that they have kind of updated at that time. Now, having said that, some assignments take longer than others to grade. Tests, essays, bigger projects can take longer to grade. So even though a kid turned in something on a Tuesday, if that's like an 8-page essay, it probably won't be graded by Wednesday. But we are looking for teachers to have one grade per week in the grade book. The other thing sometimes kids and parents are confused about is sometimes teachers record grades in Canvas, like if there's a quiz or an assessment done in Canvas, and then that grade gets over to Power School. Those two systems do sync, but it takes one overnight cycle for that to sync. So if a grade is updated in Canvas on a Tuesday, you won't see that reflected in Power School until Wednesday. And so there's a little bit of lag there. But the important thing to remember is that Power School is the grade of record. So if there's ever a discrepancy between the two, Power School is the one that matters. And I think there's one more bullet, yes? Yeah, and so like I said, the best way to get an answer to any of those questions is to have the student reach out directly to the teacher and ask, if they think if it's been a while since something's been turned in and they're just wondering if it got turned in, if it got collected, the teacher has it, just, politely ask the teacher. Our teachers, just like your kids, are working super hard at home trying to reimagine school, and they're trying their best to keep up on those grades as well.
So I had the next question that came in ahead of time, and the question was, if we return to in-person learning, do students have the option to continue online only instruction if parents or I guess another family member would have underlying health issues? And just so our parents know, currently the Illinois State Board of Education does state that schools need to provide remote options for students who choose not to return to the building. If we were to be in person learning at some point, we do have to work with those families to provide those options. So we would just work through that on an individual basis to make sure that that student is being supported. We, in all of our plans, have tried to build in flexibility in regards to our hybrid model, which is a combination of in-person and remote for our students and families. So through all of our planning, we know that we have to be flexible in everything that we do in regards to either being in person, working remotely, or working in some combination of that. And I know that Mr. Kupfer was managing kind of the YouTube chat that was coming in. I don't know at this time. I think we were going to turn it over to see if there were any questions that came in that maybe we would have answers to, or things that maybe we need to do a little more investigating on and get answers out to our families. So did anything come in, Mr. Kupfer?
I think I answered most of them. The one that I think I answered correctly, but they asked if there would be any other changes to the athletic schedule, meaning could there be a change when some sports start? But I think we're pretty much following the IHSA guidance on that, correct? So I saw nods, yes, and so
Yes,
yeah. Other than that, I think.
Well, I was just going to add that we are following the sports schedule for athletics that was presented by the Illinois High School Association. If there were any updates to that, we would obviously adjust to any of those changes or recommendations that would be brought forward. But right now, we're planning for the seasons to take place the way the Illinois High School Association has set them up for the upcoming seasons.
But there are no other outstanding questions in the chat.
Okay, well, we'll allow any questions to continue to roll in, but while we give it a couple more minutes, Rob, did you want to, Mr. Parrott, Rob, would you like to share some important other communication lines that we want parents to be aware of?
Yeah, we just wanted to remind our families as we kind of are getting close to the end of our presentation and waiting to see if any questions maybe still come in that we can answer. Just a reminder for our communications that our website, d121.org, is kind of a source of everything and the foundation for which all of our communication is based. Most of our communication that we do with our families comes via email. That's kind of our main way that we communicate. We are working on increasing our capabilities via texting. So some of that just recently started, and hopefully families opted into some of those texting options that recently came out. If there's concerns there, you can reach out if you feel like maybe you missed the texting feature to opt into that. We can certainly work on making sure that our families are able to receive text if that's what you want. And then automated phone calls. Those are usually reserved for more emergency purposes, but we do still make some automated phone calls throughout the year, but they're typically reserved for very important messages that we would send kind of in all fashions of phone, email, or text. We try not to have the phones ring at home and try to communicate mostly via email. The other communication that's important to us that highlights a lot of the great work that's going on in our district is just the Warren Connection that comes out from our district office. That comes out basically monthly, and it highlights successes and information that happens throughout our district, from athletics to student services to academics to just general information from the district, information on finances. All those types of things are kind of packaged into that Warren Connection. So please look for that monthly, as it's another helpful communication tool. A little cheap plug for Mrs. Bertola and I for our Twitter accounts. We do try to communicate successes and good things that are happening within our district. If any of you are Twitter users, our Twitter account handles are there, and you're welcome to give us a follow. We typically are communicating something usually once a day. We try to at least once a day communicate something regarding happenings within the district. And then kind of newly launched, I know Facebook is popular with our parents. We do have a Warren Facebook account that is active. It was kind of inactive for a couple years there, and we've made a push to make sure that our Facebook account is up and active and sharing good news. So for you Facebook users out there, just the facebook.com and the WTHS District 121, you can find us. It is also located on the front page of our website. And then most things that we do, we try to use the hashtag #WeAreWarren. So if you're celebrating anything that with one of your sons or daughters that's doing great things for us, we try to put the hashtag #WeAreWarren behind the work we're doing so that we can easily follow in that regard. So
I've got a couple questions for the group now.
I delayed just long enough.
You did, yes. The first one, did we discuss in this presentation activities and the status of activities? I'm not sure if we did, and if we didn't, can you just re-discuss the status of activities?
Sure, that's a great question. I'll take it. It's actually the topic that we're sharing in our link crew this week with freshmen, as we're encouraging our students to get involved. We think it's one of the best ways, especially in our virtual setting right now, to continue the social, emotional, and connection piece. So one thing I would highlight is on our website, there is on the home page of the website, right underneath the main tab, there's a student announcement tab. And on a daily basis, you can check as a parent, as students, which activities are meeting. To answer your question on where we at, we are working with our activity sponsors, and a lot of our activities are up and running. A lot of our student groups are meeting virtually, and we'll start actually even beginning to meet in person, as we're able to, in a smaller setting, meet the safety and health requirements that are expected of us. And so that information on which clubs are up and running and meeting is located on our homepage under the student announcements. It's also on on the website under the calendar. If you check the activities and athletics calendar under the calendar tab of the website, you can actually see what's going on every day. Although I know our athletics cannot have spectators right now, you'll see the sports events that are running, and you'll see any activities that are meeting, whether it's virtual or in person. And so it does vary student activity by student activity, but majority of them are up and going, and students can, again, check the daily announcements to get that information. We strongly encourage students to get involved. I know our activities director, Ms. Lonegro, is working to plan an activity fair, specifically for our freshmen, but available for all, to learn about the different activities and what are they and what are they doing and what's their meeting format and how are they going to function this year. And so I'm hoping in the next couple weeks that information will be out and available for students to get information on the various activities that we offer. So I don't know if anyone wants to add to that, but those are my thoughts on the activity piece.
There was a related question on if there's going to be any change in the spectator rules for fall sports.
At this point, as of literally today, we don't have any information on that, but I think we always, in making that decision, went into it with the mindset that we would reflect and make changes as we can. And so at this point, I don't have any updated information, but I do know we made that decision based on discussion, with our district office and athletics director and activity director and coaches to be able to get our sports up and running. That was our first priority. And if changes to that spectator decision are made, I know we will communicate that as soon as possible. But at this point, I have no updates to that. I don't know if there's anything to add.
And I know we were discussing this recently. Where were we at with the no contact days for the fall sports that got pushed back, or like camp-like days? I know we were discussing that last week. I'm not sure where that landed.
That is on the agenda for this week's board meeting, I believe.
Yes.
So more information should be coming within the next week or two on that.
Okay, so that'll be one of the things that they decide on Wednesday.
Correct. That is being
or at least
discussed on Wednesday as well. Yeah.
There's another question that I'll try to answer, but I just wanted to get it out there for the record. It says, if we would decide to have our students stay remote when, or I'll say if students go back, would it be their WTHS teachers or other teachers doing the remote learning or teaching? I think is what they meant. And to be honest, we haven't worked through all of those exact plans yet, but we've had no discussion of having external teachers involved. And so we have a variety of hybrid plans, I think, that will be discussed on Wednesday night. But at this point, none of those plans involve using anything but Warren teachers to do the instruction. We don't have all the specifics of what that would look like yet, because we're still, right now, we're focusing on what we're doing right now. But if that ends up happening, those plans will be communicated to the community. I don't know if Matt wants to add anything else, or anybody else does, feel free. And that is the end of the questions.
I was going to add, extend on Michelle's answer, sorry, Mrs. Bertola's answer, in regards to activities and announcements and things like that, just so parents are aware. Mrs. Bertola and I, once a week, do a weekly announcements for our students that we put out, and we do highlight the activities and athletic things that are going on within the district. So each Wednesday, we put out a segment called What's Up, Warren? And we have a little fun doing our announcements, but we send that out to our students as well, so that they're aware of what's going on. Hopefully they're opening those links and watching the announcements and things like that, but it's another way that we're trying to communicate with our students so that they're aware of the events that are occurring each and every week within our district. And Peter, I guess I'll do just one final call for anything else that came in or not.
I think that's all that I have for the group. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, on behalf of myself and our administrative team, our principal team here, we want to thank everyone for being with us tonight. And please continue to reach out. We know your feedback is crucial to us continuing our support of our students. So please do not hesitate to reach out, and have a great evening and take care.